Okay, so when it comes to mid-round, these are a different type of situation that will happen. It's not as much as preparation as it is for the beginning of a round. However, it takes a lot of experience and analyzing your own games to understand and for everyone to be on the same page and kind of have these protocols that you will form uh, on how to react to whatever is happening mid-round. So some kind of examples of things that can happen is contact play. So maybe you're in a situation where it's like a 4v4 where you know that the enemies, like let's say you're attacking, right? And you know the enemies are defending and they only have 4 people alive. Um, that they can, because they have one less people alive, they can't be watching everything as much as they would otherwise, right? They're gonna lose contact somewhere in the map and just have to fall back in order to be able to hold view of everything. So we have to recognize that and not make noise in some scenarios. So maybe you don't want to make noise, you don't want to tell them that we're coming before they can even see us. And in those scenarios, what a good solution is to just contact play, which basically means you just walk together and make sure you're in the spacing is good. So if someone sees and starts fighting, the second guy is ready to trade him. And the point is you just walk and walk and walk together until you find an enemy or if you're secure on site, and then you start taking fights and using utility and shooting, but only when you see someone or you have sight. Okay, that's usually the goal. Maybe sometimes you'll have sight and you still keep pushing. It depends on the situation. It depends on if you expect the enemy to be watching you or not. If you push too far. But those are the kind of situations that will happen. Like maybe probably like 4v4 or like 3v4, maybe 3v5. It's when you're going to want to do this kind of contact plays, and they will work out really well a lot of times because it's just there's not much the other team can do other than maybe play too aggressively. But then if even if they do that, you will still be ready for it, unless they're playing aggressive on the side of the map that you're not going. But that's a very risky play, and you won't see it being done that often. So the goal here is to not give them information before they could get it, and that way you manage to hit the site without heavy rotations in. Then another example of something you might find as a mid-round scenario is if you're in a 2v2 situation or a 3v3, for example, and you're on defense, and the bomb isn't been planted, and you have like, I don't know, let's say 1 minute or 50 seconds left, and you're on defense, and it's only one in your teammate alive versus 2 more people. It was like a big fight trying to execute somewhere, it didn't work out, and they just went back. Uh, you can't physically see the whole map with just 2 people, right? So what you have to be thinking with your teammate that is like, okay, we need to do something. We need to play together and we need to figure out what's the best part of the map for us to go. Maybe you don't need to play together actually, but we need to have some kind of vision. And a good idea, a good reaction that is people should have a lot of times in these scenarios is understanding, okay, do the enemies they want to plant a bomb? Do they have time to wait or do they have to start going to the bomb site now? And can they run or do they have to walk, you know? And understanding these things will let you know, well, if they can wait and just hold for a second, then maybe we don't need to push. But if they actually have to start walking to the site, they're not going to run, but they're going to walk, then maybe we should take their space that they're living, right? Maybe we should go mid together. And if they go A or C, we don't know, but we're going to be, I'm imagining Haven again. If they go A or C, we don't know where they're going, but if we go mid, we're going to be close to both sides, as opposed to just gambling on one side and then having to run the whole way to the other side if we don't guess it right. Okay, so that's an example of a reaction you can have mid-game. And this is something that you need to talk with your teammate in that scenario. And it's about understanding how your opponents will move and map awareness and time awareness. It's also very important that you know as much as possible where your opponents all were when the fight was over, the initial fight was over, that ended up being in that 3v3 or 2v2 situation. But again, you don't necessarily need to play together. Maybe sometimes it's good if we just have, if one of the people alive in your team is like a really deep position on one of the sides, maybe you can take advantage of that and just go to the other side and get in some good spot where people wouldn't expect you because they're not aware that your teammate has that much information. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. So that's another example of something you do mid-round. But these kind of things, I'm just giving you these examples. There's 1,000 more that could happen. These are things that you will learn with experience, and it really, as I said in the beginning, it's impossible to exactly teach, but I want to give you this example so you start understanding what kind of things you need to be thinking and expecting when it comes to mid-game, and especially in team play. These are 2 examples that you could also apply in ranked, but it's definitely directly related to team play, and you will learn it faster on a team environment, I would say. Okay, so another really big thing that you need to understand um, is mid-round reactions, and it is basically kind of the same scenario as the one I just spoke, except the first scenario was something like, okay, a big fight just went out and now everything is silenced and it's 2v2, not right? Now another type of reaction you can have is before everyone dies even, or maybe if just one person dies and you're like in a 4v5 or 4v4, what you can understand is like, let's say you're on attack and the enemy team is just doing like a pushomer, like we're playing Haven, they're pushing C in the beginning of the round as the defenders and we are the attackers. Okay, they pushed C with like Jet and someone else, and there was like breach utility as well there. So maybe we can guess, okay, there's 3 people towards C. We should instantly run towards A because we know that right now there's probably only one guy on A, right? Maybe one guy B or one guy on A. Maybe we can run B as well. But if we don't do this now, then if we start fighting these guys on C and we don't kill anyone, the guy on A that's alone by himself can get a lot of space for free, and we're just wasting time over round. Also, we're going to be fighting them on their own terms because they just use a lot of utility to get that specific site on C. So then we're going to take time to use our own utility to get that space back, right? And if anything, even if we don't get any kills and even if we don't die as well, it's going to be a 5v5 and it's been like 40 seconds of the round, and that's just a win for the defense side, right? So maybe a good reaction is to just instantly go somewhere else. Maybe instantly go B into A link or B into C link and try to get an aggressive position with the fast plant, and that way we're taking advantage of the information we got early round and just having a reaction off of it. And again, this is that kind of scenario where it's really important to understand where the enemies are standing and just have that kind of map awareness and how fast they can be and rotate to each of these positions.